What is going on, everyone? It's John from 16 Views. I hope all of you are doing absolutely lovely today. You probably saw the title. Today we are pitting up the veteran Lightroom versus the up-and-newcomer Luminar 4. You have probably seen Luminar 4 advertised all over YouTube, but the advertisements really only show off the AI features of this software. But what I want to see is the actual photo editing features of Luminar 4 and how they stack up against software that really hasn't had any competition in years, which is Lightroom. So I explained what Luminar 4 was, you've probably seen ads for it, and I'm assuming you probably know what Lightroom is, and the reason you searched up and then clicked on this video was because you want to see if you can save a little money with Luminar 4 instead of going all in with Lightroom. So let's find out. So I'm not really going to focus on the AI aspects of Luminar 4 because I want to see how these two softwares stack up as photo editors. If you are a person who wants all these AI features, I can tell you right now that Lightroom doesn't have anything like it. So if you're looking for a software that has sky replacement or portrait enhancer and all these different AI features, Luminar 4 is your bet. Like, Lightroom just doesn't have any of that stuff. But anyway, I'll give my final conclusion at the end with all the kind of caveats I have. I will include timestamps in this video if you want to just kind of skip the whole getting to the conclusion part of the video and just go straight to the conclusion. So yeah. When thinking of how to rate and compare these two photo editors, I really thought of four main pillars that I can kind of grade them on. The first is, of course, the photo editing capabilities and the tools that the editor has to offer. The second is how intuitive the app is, as well as just the layout of the software. Third is price. And fourth is all the features and goodies the software has in addition to its photo editing capabilities. So let's just start with pillar number one, the photo editing capabilities. Both give you all the basic things you need to start editing, like exposure, saturation, highlights, HSL sliders, tone curves, all that basic kind of stuff. Both have masking tools with a brush, linear, and radiant mask, but one weird thing about Luminar 4 is on Lightroom, each of those masks is just its own tab on the side. But in Luminar 4, to get to the masks, you have to go into the certain type of edit you want to do. So let's say you want to adjust the HSL of your image, but want to use a mask for it to only adjust it in a certain area. Instead of, in Lightroom, just going to the brush mask on the corner and then making all your edits there, you have to go into the HSL tab in Luminar and click brush. So if you want to have multiple edits and multiple adjustments under one mask, you simply just can't do this in Luminar 4 because you have to go under each individual edit and adjustment to add a mask. Also, another weird thing is the basic adjustments that you may want to do, like highlights, shadows, exposure. There's no option to do a mask for that, which I thought was really, really weird. I could be wrong and just completely missing it, but in every other tab and every other adjustment, there's a little button at the bottom that says add mask, whereas in the tab with all the basic things like exposure, there's no button that says add mask, which I thought was weird. Luminar 4 has all the features and adjustments you would need, but Lightroom gives you all the things you need, plus the things you didn't know you need, like clarity and dehaze. This one's close, but I would give it to Lightroom just because of the few extra features and the way the mask tools are presented. Okay, so pillar number two is presentation, layout, and just general aesthetics. And this goes to Lightroom 100%. I just downloaded Lightroom a week ago and have been using the free trial, and it's looked a little different from what I see on tutorials, so I think it's just been a new update, but whatever this update is, I'm loving it. It looks so good, and it's so easy to navigate, especially for beginners. Luminar 4 looks like it's trying to copy Lightroom, just not doing a great job at it. I don't know if this is because when I was downloading Lightroom, I put in that I was a beginner and hadn't used Lightroom before, or what, but one feature I love about Lightroom is if you hover your cursor over an adjustment tool, it'll pop up with a little window that tells you what that tool does and how to use it, which I think is great for beginners. Another thing that I really like about Lightroom is it just seems way smoother. When you drag up or down the exposure or just any of those tools, the transition is just much smoother than it is in Luminar. But I think this may be because the computer I'm using this on is a lower spec computer, and Lightroom may just be more optimized for lower spec computers, where since Luminar is new, it's not as optimized, so it's a little more jerky. It's still fairly smooth, but I do notice hiccups here and there, and once in a while, I'll adjust a slider and nothing will happen to the previewed image. But this could very easily be fixed by a software update, so I wouldn't worry too much or base your decision too much on that alone. The third pillar is price, and this is where Luminar comes flying back to become a close competitor with Lightroom. Luminar is a one-time payment of roughly $70. It changes here and there, whereas Lightroom is an ongoing monthly payment of at minimum $10. Another great thing about Luminar is the free trial is 90 days, so that gives you a very large amount of time to be able to tell if you like it or not. And so if you're kind of on the fence about both of these and are leaning toward Lightroom, I would still highly encourage you to download the 90-day free trial to see if you like it or not. Because it's 90 days, you can tell everything about the editor in 90 days, whereas Lightroom is only 7 days and you can't quite get a good feel of it in only 7 days. Luminar definitely takes this with it being only $70, where Lightroom basically being an infinite amount of dollars because you have to pay for it monthly. And the fourth and last pillar is just the little extra features and goodies you get with each software. We'll start with Luminar, and by far the biggest feature about this is the AI stuff. All the AI features are just great. They're very helpful. You have the sky replacement, you have portrait enhancer, you have all these different AI-based tools that make it a little easier for beginners to edit photos and change up their photos. It's a little like a smarter Photoshop mixed with a photo editor in a way. And I mentioned this before, but another great feature is the 90-day free trial. Some great features about Lightroom are, along with a photo editor, it's also a great file management system, because you can upload all your photos to the cloud depending on how much cloud storage you get with your Lightroom monthly plan. And since Lightroom has apps that work with iPhone and iPad, you can start an edit on your computer, and since your photo is in the cloud, you can then put down your computer, pick up your iPad or iPhone, and continue editing the picture, which I think is an absolutely amazing feature for people who are on the go. Lightroom also has a sort of community tab where different photographers and editors can post their picture that they edited to the community tab, and then it'll then give you a step-by-step tutorial on how they edited the pictures, which is great for beginners who kind of want to learn from the best and kind of see the tools and the ways that they edit their photos, so you can become better. And I have definitely used this feature quite a few times. I use the Peter McKinnon tutorials a lot because I think his pictures just look really, really good, and I like the whole aesthetic of them. So I've definitely used that tutorial a few times to kind of see his mindset on how he edits photos. Okay, so final conclusion time. Lightroom wins without a doubt. And I know it kind of sounded like I was being pretty tough on Luminar, and I was, but it's a great software. It's just clear that the company is definitely focused on the AI features, and all the basic photo editing features go to the back burner, which is completely fine because they're editing the software as a software that has amazing AI features, and they're not really advertising it for its basic photo editing capabilities. So this is just me kind of judging something for what it's not necessarily supposed to be. I just think that this is a software that a lot of people are going to be looking into because of its cheaper price and seeing if it can be used as a Lightroom replacement. But I think if you have the money, this Luminar would be a great plugin for Lightroom because it also works as that. So let's say you take a picture and you want to change the sky out. So you can import your picture into Luminar, use the AI features to change out the sky, and then import that picture then into Lightroom so you can make all your photo editing adjustments. Lightroom is still king, that's a no-doubter, but with a few updates to Luminar's basic photo editing capabilities, I think this could become a very close battle. And even if it's not quite there, the price definitely would make up for maybe just a few disparities in the difference in capabilities of the two softwares. And if you don't want to commit to Lightroom, again, 90-day free trial for Luminar. So don't listen to me. If you want to see if Luminar is enough and you can live with some of these disadvantages, check out that 90-day free trial and tell for yourself. Okay, I know that was a ton of information. Thanks for sticking around till the end. It would really mean a lot to me if you thought about subscribing or just liking this video. I'm so grateful. I just hit 100 subscribers a few days ago, which, I mean, I know is tiny, but that was a really big milestone for me, so I guess my next goal is what, like 200? So help me get there. Thank you so much. This is John from 16 Views. See ya.